Alright everybody, welcome back to UltraChenTV. This is the first episode of The Mind's Eye, which I've decided to call this series of videos where I analyze people's matches and try to give advice from all levels of beginners to experts, etc., etc. It's up to you. It's dependent on the Patreon. If you donate through Patreon, we have a Patreon goal of analyzing videos for a certain amount. I'm looking into maybe lowering them out a little bit so I can get more people who would be willing to do stuff like this. But again, any donation is appreciative. Even if you don't want to have a match analyzed, you could donate through the link on the bottom of the screen right there, or you can subscribe. Again, that helps keep me able to do content like this a lot more, because streaming is now my professional job. It is what I do. So I no longer have a day job. So anything helps and anything is appreciated. So let's go back to the questions that I wanted to address a little bit earlier. The questions, well, not necessarily a question. So Duck Helmet says, game is too complicated, brain leaking out the ears. And I really want to address that, because that is a very much a real concern. The one thing that I really want to talk about fighting games is that it's hard. Fighting games are hard. They're so difficult, and it's sometimes even more difficult for someone who knows fighting games to explain why they're so hard. Why they're so hard to learn. Because especially a guy like me, I've been playing fighting games for 20 years. So I've already gone, it's like in 20 years I've gone through all this growth, and I'm still not a great player. So like, you know, you look at that and you're like, huh, wow, you know, like 20 years. But I mean, that's the way it is. Fighting games are hard. There is a lot of information, a lot of things to get out of fighting games. And if you have trouble with trying to understand fighting games, again, another shameless plug, youtube.com/UltraChenTV. Look up the other episode that's described as "You All Know How to Play Fighting Games." This is the season 5.1 First Attack, where I talk about how you want to approach fighting games, how you want to learn how to play fighting games in ways that I'm hoping make sense to everybody, because I use examples of stuff that everybody has already played to help them, teach them how to play fighting games. And this is actually a really important thing to understand, and this leads into the topic that I want to talk about. But before I get into that, again, Duck, yes, very hard. Very hard to learn a lot of things, but you'll be surprised at, as long as you're willing to process a lot of, oh, someone cheered, sweet, okay, thanks. As long as you're willing to process what's happening, oh, more cheers, sweet. As long as you're willing to process what's going on inside your head and what's happening on the screen, as long as you're willing to realize that a lot of times the fault lies with you when you lose, the growth is easier, and you'll start to find out that a lot of the information starts to come quickly. The best example is Guilty Gear. Like, a lot of people play Guilty Gear and then like they'll be like, okay, so how do I play Guilty Gear? Well, there's this faultless defense, and by the way, there's Roman cancels, and there's red Roman cancels, yellow Roman cancels, and purple Roman cancels. By the way, there's also dead angles. Oh, by the way, there's also instant blocking. By the way, there's also, and like, you sit there and there's burst, there's a gold burst, and you're sitting here and you're like, how am I supposed to play this fighting game? This doesn't make sense at all. And when you actually look at that, and yes, absolutely, it is daunting, and you're like, I don't want to learn Guilty Gear. This game's too hard. This game's too hard. But as you play it, like, the situations in which those systems come into play start becoming very common, and you start understanding where to use them. And you'll actually find you learn it quickly, as long as you are willing to adjust your brain and understand these kind of things. Like, oh, that's why I want to do that. Oh, I should use V-trigger in these situations, etc., etc. Last thing I want to say for Sai, by the way, before I keep going on this, is that I told him a bunch of things to learn. The other thing I really want him to learn is learn which buttons are useful. So again, jump roundhouse is good. Jump heavy kick, I should say, is good. Jump heavy punch is good. And on the ground, stand medium kick, crouch medium kick, as I've mentioned before. Anyways, To the other question, someone asked, "What is a?" Did I just miss that there? Follows. Thank you. The other thing that I want to talk about is that someone asked what an option select is. I mentioned it earlier. Option select is just a sequence of buttons that covers most situations, right? So, for example, it's really tough because they've really done a good job taking away a lot of the obvious option selects. But the most blatant option select in this game is the whiff option select. If I turn on my inputs, notice that I do heavy punch into drill. I'm actually doing a drill motion here. But at this range, nothing will happen. The drill won't ever come out. This is an option select because if the Ryu player does nothing, my drill won't come out and I won't kill myself. However, if I record the Ryu to say, let me think, what's a good button to record him to do? Standing medium kick, like so, and I turn that on stand medium kick only. So if it whiffs, nothing happens. But if I happen to hit him, guess what? The drill comes out for me automatically. Boom! That is an option select right there. The whiff option select is the most common option select that exists in fighting games right now. So if I miss, because I know at this range I can't hit Ryu. At this range, there's no way I'm going to hit him unless I hit his leg. So at this range, I'm just going to do heavy punch into drill, heavy punch into drill. And then if I happen to hit him, the drill comes out. That is an option select right there. So that is an example of an option select. So that's the quickest option select right there. That's the whiff buffer option select essentially. There we go. T Glass Boy says he's being held hostage by this game. Help me get good. Okay, so let's go. I actually want to watch that match again. I'm not going to take nearly as long as I did this time, but I really want to go through that match again one more time for a very specific reason. Because as we watch this match, all I did was talk about what Sai was doing, what he should be doing, and what he should be trying to do. However, all that advice that I've given to Sai, while it's great advice, while it's stuff that he needs to learn to use which buttons to do, he needs to learn his hit confirms and everything. Oh, thank you, David Odie. Thank you. Much appreciated. Even though that's all great advice, all that advice goes back to something that I mentioned earlier on, is that you know you're a beginner in Street Fighter when you're playing a one-player game. And some people are like, what does that mean, James? What does that mean? Well, basically, the key to getting to the next level of fighting games is learning how to play a two-player game. Is learning how to play against a human opponent. Because your human opponent has flaws, they have faults, they have tendencies, they have patterns, and they have their own panic buttons, they have their own mistakes, they have their own moments where they're like, I don't know what to do. You have to realize your opponent is a human being. And when you do that, you stop playing the one-player game. Now, what is the one-player game? Here, I'll show you exactly what the one-player game is. The one-player game is, I know this is a good combo. I want to get in with this hit confirm like this. I want to get in with this hit confirm. So, round one, fight. I'm going to walk up. I really want to land this hit confirm. I'm going to jump at him so I can get in there. Okay, now look at that. I'm landing this and, okay, you know what? This is really good. This is really good. Like, look at that combo. And I know I'm plus on block after V skill, so I'm going to go and try to get in with him. Okay, good. I hit him so I can combo him. But you know what? I'm going to try it again. And, oh, he blocked this time, so I'm going to walk up and throw him. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm playing the one-player game. And the reason why I call this the one-player game is because you're just trying things that you know your character can do and what works. That is... Oh, shoot, did I have the wrong screen up this whole entire time? Sorry. Let's rewind here. Okay. Alright, so here's the thing, right? So this is what a one-player game is. Let me show you what a one-player game is. The one-player game is something like, okay, look, I know that this hit confirm works, and I really want to land this hit confirm, so I need to get it for the hit confirm. Ugh, I ran into a fireball. Ugh, I ran into a fireball. Oh, let me jump in. Yes, I landed it. Haha, there we go. Sweet. Okay, and then you know what? I've heard that this move is plus on block. So this is a really good move to get in. Let me get in right there. Oh, and I hit him, so now I know I can confirm. But if he blocks it, oh, I know I'm plus, so I'm going to throw him instead. Yeah, all right, sweet. Oh, okay, I'm going to throw him because I know I'm plus. And this is a really good move to get in. So this is all a one-player game. Why do I call this a one-player game? It's because you're doing what you know your character can do. You're trying to get to the place where you can exert your patterns and try to hit them with things that you want to hit them with. But you are not paying attention to what your opponent is doing. You don't care what they're doing. So, perfect example of this, when we watch that match, I kept pointing out that he was walking backwards and he wanted to get into jump position. He knows if he jumps here, he'll jump over him, so he can't hit him with his jumping kick, like here. So what he would always do is walk backwards, jump at him, and kick him. Walk backwards, jump at him, and kick him. And that's great if the opponent is standing still, if your opponent is not a human opponent, if your opponent is not doing anything. But what you really want to be doing is you want to be understanding that you are playing against another human being. So what you're not trying to do is, let me land this cool thing on him. Oh, you know what? This is a really cool combo. I want to land this combo on him. If that's how you're playing the game, I know this is a trick. Oh, you know what? I know this is a setup. Then you're not playing the two-player game. Let's rewatch this matchup again, and I'll show you exactly how it's going to differ when I'm playing a two-player game. The last time I went through this match, I went through it as a one-player game. And watch all of a sudden how different it's going to be as soon as I change this into a two-player game. Notice exactly how differently I start to analyze this match. Okay, fight starts. Ryu walked backwards. He jumped at me. Okay, this Ryu is kind of offensive. He apparently likes jumping. Okay, he got hit by the cross under. So, you know what? I'll try the cross under again next time this situation happens, because he got hit by it here. I want to see if he learns. If he blocks it the next time, I'll switch it to a throw or something like that. Oops, I drilled. Oh, you know what? He didn't punish me all that badly. He might not know his punish combos very well. That must mean I can play a little riskier against him. So, you know what? I can try to go for some Hail Mary drill confirms, and even if they're blocked, he might not punish me as badly as he should. Okay, I can play a little more reckless now. Oh, he jumped at me again. Oh, this is a jumpy Ryu. Oh, okay, he threw me now. So now after the jump attack, he jumped with light and he went for the throw. So he knows that the light kicks cause less block stun. So if I block a light attack like that, next time I'll be wary and I'll be ready to throw. Okay, he dashed up at me. Oh God, he jumped at me again. You know what? I'm just going to stand at his jump distance and now I'm going to uppercut him. Because that's what he always does. I'm going to stand at his jump distance and I'm just going to wait till he jumps and I'm going to uppercut him. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now, because I know this is a jumpy Ryu. I know that this guy likes to jump. Okay, oh, he sweeps. He has a panic sweep. Next time I'll take advantage of that and punish that. Okay, he jumped again. This is a very jumpy Ryu. Alright, so I now know that that is something that he jumped again. Now, what's interesting about this is that Charleston Jew actually has an interesting comment. He actually says, this is all well and nice, but you don't have nearly enough time to think about all this in a match. Actually, you do. You would be surprised at how powerful your brain is. Your brain is your worst enemy and it is also your best friend. The thing about it is, the more you play this game, and this is where Daigo's strategy comes in. Daigo has once said that he has played so many people that as soon as he plays an opponent, in that first 15 seconds that he plays against the first 10 seconds he plays against an opponent, he automatically can throw them into a category that he knows exists. Daigo probably can't even name all of the categories. He just knows it. And it's instant recall. It is instant recall. Like, if you watch me play online, and when I'm trying to talk, when I'm not salty and I'm actually able to talk while I'm playing, you'll actually hear me say within 5 seconds, oh, this is a defensive Ryu. I can probably shimmy him. Because I made that decision in 1 second, half a second, 1/10 of a second. I just saw some of the things that he did and I was like, okay, he's not a button masher. I can throw and shimmy him now. Or, oh, he's a button masher. Now I have to frame trap him. See, the thing about it is you already know what the response to what they're doing is. You can react to what you see almost instantly. And that is the key right there. But that's how you play a two-player game. You are reading what your opponent is doing and you are paying attention to what they're doing, and what you do is now no longer a result of what you want to do. What you do in the fighting game is a result of what they want to do. I'm going to repeat that again because that is like the theorem of theorems. That is the lesson that you are going to take out of today. In order to play Street Fighter properly, any fighting game properly, what you do with your character should be based on what your opponent wants to do, not what you want to do. Now, there are some games that are going to change that, like for example Marvel. If you use a zero team, you kill someone, you get a mix-up, it's just really good. You can play a one-player game. That is definitely a thing. But even just getting to that position requires you to outread your opponent, to understand what they are doing. And that is one of the most important things about fighting games. And that is the difference between a one-player game and a two-player game. If you're playing a one-player game, you are doing what you want to do. If you are playing a two-player game, you are doing what will counter what your opponent wants to do. So we've watched that match over here a little bit. So Eli Hendricks says, does that mean you have to play more defensive? Okay, let me get into that in a little bit too. But let me finish saying this really quick. What was I saying? Shoot, I forgot. Okay, let me answer your question now, Eli Hendricks. So he asked, does that mean you have to play more defensive? Here's the other important theorem of fighting games, okay? This is something that's really important about fighting games, and probably the thing that makes fighting games even harder to learn. And I'm not trying to discourage people by telling them that things are hard to learn. I'm telling you this because I just want you to know that fighting games take effort. They do take practice. So if you're struggling at fighting games, that's okay. That is absolutely okay, and everyone goes through it. There will be those few exceptions like NuckleDoo who are just like, wait, this makes sense. I'm Capcom Cup champion! Like some people are going to be NuckleDoo, but then there are going to be a lot of other people who will get good through just blood, sweat, and tears. And so the way that I'm going to answer this question to Eli Hendricks, does that mean you have to play more defensive? My answer to that is there is no correct answer. There is no correct answer. Someone asked me one time, how do I get away from the throw shimmy mix-up? What's the solution to the throw shimmy mix-up? Yes, there's jump back OS, but let's not talk about that because that's super high level tactic. At the mid-level, at the mid-range, how do you beat throw shimmy? The answer, and it's a shitty answer, is you can't. It's a mix-up. It's a legitimate mix-up. It wouldn't be a mix-up if there wasn't an answer for every situation, right? That's why the throw shimmy is so powerful, because it's a mix-up. And there will be an answer to every situation. So there's no one concrete solution. There's no one concrete answer. So when you ask, should I actually play more defensive? The answer is, what is your opponent doing? Is your opponent a crazy rushdown jumpy Ryu like we saw in this video over here? If so, then your answer is yes. If your opponent is a sit back, I'm not going to do anything Ryu, then your answer is no. But regardless of what the answer is, you're choosing it based on how your opponent is playing. That is the key right there. You are always doing it based on what your opponent is doing. So if I play a match and I see Ryu jump back and start throwing fireballs, I'm like, this is a defensive Ryu. He wants to play more defensive, so I'm going to go in on him. If he starts it by dashing up and starts trying to light kick me and do all this stuff, I'm like, this is a crazy Ryu. I'm going to sit back and hit buttons so he can run into my buttons. The hardest part about this is that the best players will mix between them. They'll be like defensive, offensive, defensive, sort of more defensive. Oh, I'm really offensive. Yeah, I'm offensive. Defense again. Like, the best players will be able to mix that up, and that's why they are the best. That's why they are the best, because they do not fall into patterns. And they can adjust to what their opponent's going to do before their opponent makes the adjustment. Like if A counters B and C counters D, like let's say I counter B all day with A, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to switch to D. I'm going to switch to C before he even does D, because I can totally tell he's switching tactics. That's what top players do. They understand the psychology of humans basically out there. So the main question, the main answer to the question is, there is no one true answer, and that's what makes fighting games fair. If there is no way to stop a specific tactic, or if one tactic is particularly too strong, that is going to win. And the only reason why fighting games work is because nothing is foolproof. So let's say there are no throws and no overhead in this game. Like, let's take out throws. Pretend there's no throws in this game. Pretend there's no overheads in this game. Pretend there's no gray life in this game. I hit you, right? 2-player health gauge, normal. I'm gonna hit you with crouch medium punch. There's no throws. There's no gray health. There's no chip damage through special moves. I'm just gonna block. Block suddenly becomes too powerful in this situation. This is a situation now where the right answer to everything is block. Oops, the screen. So if there's no, so I'm just gonna hit Ryu like this. I have a life lead. I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna block. You have no chip damage, you have no throws, you have no overhead, there's no gray health in this game. I'm just gonna block. All of your jumps are too slow, I can always block the jumps. I'm just gonna block forever. In this case, this means blocking is too powerful of a tactic. It's too good. Can't beat it. Can't beat it at all. So, they added throws in the game. And now all of a sudden blocking doesn't work anymore. So now blocking doesn't work. So just by adding that one thing, all of a sudden it doesn't work. But you know what? It's still pretty easy to tech throws if the tech window is too large. So I'm just going to sit here and block when you throw me, it's going to tech. Okay, so now I'm going to add in overheads. Or now I'm going to add in this gray health that you build up, so that if I hit you with a jump back, well, like I hit you with one tiny thing, all of a sudden you lose all this life. Or I'm going to add chip in the game, so that if you block, you still lose health and stuff like that. So, War Destroyer actually went to an arcade where blocking was banned. Yeah, dude, growing up, throwing was banned in many arcades. And if you threw someone, you had to let them get throwbacks, which you throw them, you'd be like, oops, sorry, and then you let the guy get up and throw you, or you went outside and they beat you up with their friends. I mean, seriously, that's what happened in those arcades a long time ago. But, that's the thing, yeah, seriously, that's true. It's absolutely true. There was arcades that you had to do that before. But here's the thing. Right, exactly. Get a life lead and then block. That's all you had to do. But that was the case, right? So the thing that makes fighting games tick, the thing that makes fighting games go round, the reason why I bring this up, the reason why I bring up the fact that there's no one dominant tactic, the way that you have to look at fighting games is everything can be defeated. Everything can be defeated. Now, there are obvious situations where a character is OP, where a character is too good, too strong. That doesn't necessarily mean that they can't be beaten. It just means that all their stuff is really good. So yeah, there's some balance issues here and there and stuff like that, but usually when one tactic is found that's too good and starts dominating the game dies instantaneously, right? The real truth is, in a balanced game, and yes, Street Fighter V Season 1, Season 2 is a balanced game. You guys don't even know what a true unbalanced game is like. In a balanced fighting game, nothing is unbreakable. Everything is defeatable. When you realize that, then you don't care what your opponent does. Nothing they do is cheap. And you know you can beat everything they do if you're just good enough. And because everything then becomes a mix-up, a ton of rock, paper, scissors games, then you also realize too that in any given situation, there's never one real answer to the problem, because everything is a Mega Man boss battle. Everything is, look, Airman is going to kill Crashman, okay? Crashman is going to kill, actually Mega Man 2 is always the worst example because of the Flashman problem. But Crashman is supposed to kill Flashman, right? Flashman kills Quickman, Quickman kills Metal Man, Metal Man kills Woodman, Woodman beats Airman, etc., etc. I missed one in there somewhere. I missed Heatman in there. Bubble Man, okay, Metal Blade kills Bubble Man, Bubble Man in any case, there's a circle. There's a circle. My Mega Man knowledge is all messed up right now. There's a circle. And what happens is that there is no actual solution. It's like rock, paper, scissors. You're playing rock, paper, scissors. You can't play rock forever because someone will eventually play paper, right? So in fighting games, you have to understand there's always a way to get around whatever it is you're doing or whatever they're doing. The key is really knowing what it is that your opponent is going to do or what they're going to try to do. So let's go back to this match here again. And right away, right here, so like I said, you can tell that the way that Sai is playing is that he's always just playing by himself. He's playing whatever he wants to do. I want to drill, I want to do all this stuff. He's not paying attention to what the Ryu is doing. And if you notice, the Ryu has jumped many, many times. There's another jump from the Ryu player. And then, okay, Ryu blocks, misses that one. And that's just a sequence that the Ryu player does a lot too. But I did a Let's Play with Mega Man before, Thugbear. If you want to watch me play Mega Man 1 and 2, I could do it again. I could play those again. Like, you will see how ridiculously amazing I am at Mega Man 1 and 2. Like, I know those games like the back of my hand. Thank you, Eli Hedricks. Really appreciate that. But that's how you should be playing the fighting game. So when you're watching this match and you're watching your matches here, also spend some time trying to pick up on your opponent's patterns. So if you go back and rewatch one of your own matches, like, see, the Ryu just keeps jumping. So that's the number one thing that I would pick up on right away. And he also likes to jump back and throw fireballs too. So, you know what, I would just let him jump himself back into the corner. And then when I get him in the corner, I'd stand at his jump range to tempt him to jump at me so I could uppercut him. And that's the thing, is like, that's the number one thing I would pull out of this while playing against this Ryu player, is that he likes to jump. So I'm going to be ready to anti-air his jump. So that's a really important thing to learn. So what I'm going to do here is, unfortunately, I honestly did not think a 2-minute match was going to last 2-3 hours of stream time. However, in the future, it probably won't have to last this long, mostly just because this is the first one, so I've got a lot of philosophy stuff to talk about that I don't want to repeat in later ones.